You're listening to Lexington Community Radio, WLXU 93.9, and this is Bike Talk.
Bluegrass Cycling Club is proud to support Bike Talk as an underwriter for Lexington Community Radio. For more information, you may visit bgcycling.net. Hi, I'm your host, Wanda Bertram. Today on our show is Pam Thomas. She's the president of the Bluegrass Cycling Club. Pam, it's great to have you on the show.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, thanks. This is an exciting time of the year because the weather is changing and we're going to start being able to get out a lot more.
We hope. It changes every hour, it seems.
No kidding. It's just the forecast. So tell me a little bit about the Bluegrass Cycling Club. You're the president and you've been involved for a long time.
Yeah, I've held pretty much every position there is with the board over the years, and I'm in my second year as president now. And the club has really evolved and grown over time. We have just over 900 members now, which is a lot of members.
It's a big club, yeah.
Not everybody is very active in the club, but we do have some very active members. And the club has been around since the 1970s, early 1970s. And we have lots of ride leaders. We have lots of rides. We have a lot of other activities for people. It's both riding and social.
And the social part is a big component because some people like to ride alone, but for people who want to get out and ride with small groups or even larger groups, there are so many opportunities that the club has.
There are a lot of opportunities, and we divide or tend to divide our rides up by paces. And so, if you like to ride fast, there are fast people for you to ride with. And if you like to ride slow, there are slow people for you to ride with. If you like to stop a lot, there are people who like to do that. We have some rides that are just on the Legacy Trail. We have other rides that start in communities around Lexington. We have rides in Midway and Richmond and all over the place, really, all over the Bluegrass area.
And it's a great place for new people who are new to cycling to learn to ride too.
Yes. We have an education committee, and I think that they're going to be active this year in trying to help people who are new to cycling both learn how to ride their bikes more safely and effectively, and also to introduce them to group riding, because group riding is a little bit different than riding by yourself.
It can be a little intimidating at first.
Yes, it can be. And I've had people say that they're really not, that they don't necessarily feel safe riding by themselves, but when you're with a group, you're more visible and, someone's there to help you if something happens. So in some ways, I think groups make people feel a little more comfortable.
Yeah, very much so. So the club is a membership organization. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is a membership organization. Membership is only $20 a year. And, you have, one of the nice things that members have is insurance coverage for the rides that we lead. So if you sign in and you're a member of our club and something happens, we have an insurance policy that basically covers expenses that your regular insurance doesn't cover if the costs are over a certain amount of money. We do a lot of, like I said, we have 5 or 6 different rides. Some nights we have 3 or 4 rides in different locations. So you have a lot of opportunities to ride with the club. And so we used to offer family memberships, but we don't anymore. So we have individual memberships. But if you have children under 18, they're free on one of their parents.
Wonderful. And I am so impressed with how many rides there are during the week. I mean, some weeks there's 10 to 12 rides all through the week.
Yeah, and we have people that do rides during the day. We pretty much have at least 1, usually 2, sometimes 3 rides in the evening after work. And then almost always there's at least 1, usually 2 rides on the weekends. So you can go to our website, and if you are interested in learning about more about our rides and how we do things and how we split things up, there's information on our website about that.
And what is your website?
It's bgcycling.net.
bgcycling.net. And it's a very robust website. I mean, there is so much information on this website.
Yeah, we have a calendar, and if you click on the calendar, you'll see the days of the week, and then there's a ride, and you can click on the ride, and there'll be a description of the ride. There'll be contact information for the ride leader. So if you look and you're interested, but you have questions, you can always call the ride leader and, tell them about your questions, and they'll answer your questions and help you figure out if the ride is appropriate for you or not.
And the ride leaders are trained in how to lead a ride. So you're with someone who can help you and knows what they're doing.
Exactly. We do an annual training with our ride leaders. In fact, the training for this year is March 30th, and it's an all-day training. And our ride leaders learn how to lead rides and learn how to help people. And normally they'll explain at the beginning of the ride what the intentions of the ride are, just so to make sure that everybody, makes the right decision. And a lot of times you'll have different pace groups starting at the same place. So it is important, though, if you look at the calendar and you're interested in joining a ride, to read the description and honestly assess your fitness level and your comfort level before you head out to join the group.
Well, and especially if you're new, I would recommend just calling the ride leader or texting them to ask them, is this ride for me? What do I need to know? And what to expect. So if someone is coming on a ride for the first time, what can they expect?
Well, one of the things that you need to think about is you need to have your own to bring with you. You should bring your water bottle, which should be somewhere on your bike. You should have your own spare tube and a way to put air in your tube. You shouldn't rely on other people for that. And that's always good to have those things with you because you never know when something like that is going to happen.
That's right. And there are people there to help you change your tire. If you do get a flat, the ride leader is often someone who is capable or will have someone there who can help you, especially on rides that are slower paced or for new people.
The ride leader will know how to do that and will help you. And if the ride leader can't do it, there will be other people there that can. But ride leaders all know how to change tires and do basic sorts of repairs. The other thing is that you should plan on arriving probably 15 minutes to 20 minutes before the ride.
When a ride says it starts at 10 o'clock.
It starts at 10 o'clock.
That's when wheels roll.
Right.
If you get there at 10:01, good chance people will be gone.
That's right. And especially if you're new, you'll want to introduce yourself to the ride leader. You'll want to tell the ride leader that you're new. You'll want to ask any questions you need to ask. You want to make sure you have your tires aired up when you get there, or that if you have a pump with you, you'll do it when you're there. And then giving yourself time to get ready is important. So if you're going to go for the first time and the ride starts at 6 p.m., don't show up at 5:55. It just won't work well for you or the group.
Right. And it's a very welcoming group. I've found that the groups and the club members on the ride are very welcoming.
Yes, they are. And the other thing is if you're riding with a group of people and you have questions about, like in the faster paces, we ride what are called pace lines, which is usually two cyclists next to each other, and then you switch leading the group. And, if you have questions about how things work, you just ask somebody. And a lot of times it's good in a situation like that to start toward the back and just watch how it works. People catch on pretty quickly, and riders are pretty good to help.
Right. And the group leaders, when they start a ride, usually they'll talk about the rules of the road and safety tips and how to ride in a group with other cyclists.
Yes, they do. They do that. That's part of what all the ride leaders do before a ride. So they'll tell you to point out potholes or to, let people know who are behind what's coming up. When you stop at a stop sign, everybody stops. On a bike, you have to follow the rules of the road because you are a vehicle on the road. And so sometimes in a group, people just get this mentality like they don't need to think about it or follow the rules, but that's just not true.
Right. And the club is a very good place to learn that.
Yes, it is. It is. We have several people that are league certified instructors, and so they've been trained to help other people learn how to ride bikes safely and effectively. And like I said, a lot of times then being in a group makes you a lot more visible, which, in some ways makes you feel safer.
Yeah, very much so. And there are rides for everyone, it seems. Even if you want to learn how to climb hills or climb better, there's a hill ride.
Yeah, there was a hill ride last year. I don't know if they're going to do it again this year.
They're
but
talking about it.
But on Monday mornings, there was a hill ride for people who wanted to get better at riding hills. And every Monday, they just went out and rode hills.
Yeah, or everything from that to riding out in the country on flatter parts of town, flatter parts of the countryside.
There is everything.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break and we're going to talk about everything when we get back that the Bluegrass Cycling Club does. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Bike Talk on Lexington Community Radio. I'm your host, Wanda Bertram. Today on our show, we're talking to Pam Thomas, who is the president of the Bluegrass Cycling Club. And we've been talking about all of the wonderful rides that the club offers, where you can find them at bgcycling.net. There's a great calendar. Who can come on the rides? Who is invited to come on the rides?
Well, really anybody can come on the rides. If you're a parent and you have children, if the children are under 16, they need to be with a responsible adult. It doesn't necessarily be you, but it has to be someone that will accompany them and ride with them. We have some parents and children that ride tandem bikes. We have had parents that have been pulling their children in, carts behind. Now, obviously, the way you arrange yourself is a little bit different if you're doing that, but really anybody is welcome, to come, and we help figure out how to make that work. For children that are younger on their own bikes, I would recommend that as a parent, you probably want to practice with your child on the Legacy Trail first and feel confident that they are good at braking and stopping, that they have an attention span long enough to, keep paying attention and not looking around before you take them out on a road, individually without being on a tandem or in some way connected to the adult bike. But again, we help with that.
Wonderful. And do you have to be a member to participate in the regular club rides?
No, you don't have to be a member. Everybody is always welcome. A lot of times we have out-of-time folks that are coming in that look us up and they come and ride with us. Just know that you're covered by our insurance policy as a guest the first time, and after that, if you're not a member, then you're not covered by our insurance policy. And one thing I did forget to mention about kids being involved in our rides is that we do have waivers that the parent or responsible adult has to sign each time when they have a child on the ride. For kids that are over 16 that are fine on their own, it's really going to be the decision of the ride leader whether or not it's okay for that child to ride without a parent or a responsible adult.
So plan ahead if you have children.
Yes. What I would do if you have children that you want to bring on a ride is definitely get in touch with the ride leader in advance.
Okay. Very good. And that information is on the ride calendar.
Yes, it is.
So Pam, you're an experienced cyclist. We're starting a new cycling season. And it's a beautiful time of the year to get out, spring, summer, fall. But for people who have not been on a bike for a while, can you recommend some things to help them get back going?
Well, the first thing I would recommend is take your bike to a shop, or if you have the skills yourself, do kind of a looking things over. If you haven't been on your bike all winter, it probably needs the chain lubed, and you might need to have it's always a good time at the beginning of the year to get your cables changed, to get your chain lubed, to have somebody check your tires and make sure that they're all okay. Always make sure that you, like I said earlier, air up your tires before you leave. You can prevent a lot of mishaps out on the road by just being proactive and making sure your bike is ready to roll, before you leave your house. A lot of bike shops offer special spring tune-ups for people, as the season is starting. And so that would be a good time to do that. You'll also want to check your gear and make sure that you have appropriate things to wear. Cyclists a lot of time will wear these special shorts that have pads in them. I call them diaper pants, but
but they're very helpful.
They are
make
very helpful.
So much more comfortable.
Yeah. And check your gear and see if there's anything that you need. The other thing about cycling is you should make sure that your helmet is. If you've ever hit your head in your helmet, you should buy a new helmet always. And if you've had your helmet for 4 or 5 years, you probably need to get a new one.
Helmets have a date.
They have a shelf life, yes.
They have a shelf life.
Yes.
Yeah, so check your helmet. If you don't remember when you bought it, look inside of your helmet and look at that shelf life.
And see, because for the helmet to serve its purpose, the integrity of the helmet needs to be good. So, every 4 or 5 years, you should get a new helmet. And they aren't expensive. The other interesting thing about helmets is from a safety standpoint, in order to be sold in the United States, they have to meet in certain states safety standards. And so you can get a helmet for $10 or $15 that's equally as effective as a helmet that you pay $200 for. The differences between them is that one is probably going to be a lot lighter than the other one. One might have more air vents than the other one, but from a safety standpoint, either is going to be fine. And you want to make sure that your helmet fits you right. It shouldn't be moving around. And this is especially true if you have children. And you should always wear a helmet. Even if you're just going to the corner store, you should wear a helmet. You know, if you take two fingers and put them above your eyebrow, that's where in the front, that's where your helmet should be. It shouldn't be tipped back on your head because then it's not protecting your forehead.
And strap your helmet on.
Right. If you don't strap your helmet on, it will fall off if you fall, and then it won't protect you at all. And the way that the strap ought to work is if you open your mouth wide, you should feel the strap under your chin.
Yeah. And someone told me you should be able to fit two fingers between your chin and the strap. If it's looser than that, you probably need to tighten it.
Correct. And you can buy, helmets come in different sizes, usually small, medium, and large, and then there are special helmets for children. So helmets are not a one-size-fits-all. And if you shake your head and your helmet moves, your helmet is too loose. So those are some good guides to think about with your helmet.
Good, very important. So you've got your bike ready, you've got your helmet on. How do I start training? Is there anything special that I need to do?
Well, one other thing I wanted to mention about your equipment is that if you have a bag on your bike where you have your tube and your tire irons and all of that stuff, if you haven't looked at it since last year, you probably ought to get all that stuff out and look at it too, because rubber can dry rot and other things might happen. And so you should, instead of just assuming your bag is okay, look in it, make sure you have all the stuff that you need, and make sure that it's all okay.
Good, very important.
And so then if we talk about fitness a little bit, if you've not been doing a whole lot of aerobic fitness over the winter, you should start off slow. And you never really want to increase your distance or your difficulty more than 10 or 15% a week. So you want to give yourself time, to progress. And so you might start with just a 5-mile ride or even less, and then gradually build up as you build your fitness. And the thing that happens on a bike is if you try to go too far too fast, and you're trying to balance your bike, and you're trying to pay attention to traffic, that's a lot of stuff. So, give yourself time.
Give yourself time to adjust and
Right.
be patient with yourself.
Right. And if you are a group rider and you haven't been riding, there are people who have been riding all winter. You might want to consider starting out at a slower pace, maybe with a group, meet a whole bunch of new people.
Yeah.
And start out at a slower pace and just gradually give yourself time to build up.
Build up. And one thing, too, I know a lot of the rides that we do are what we call out and backs. You'll cycle out to a point and then come back. And it's very easy to overestimate how far you go out and then turn around and come back, especially if you're going out in a tailwind.
Yeah, and coming back in a headwind. Well, ride leaders try to avoid that if they can, but sometimes, we always try to find a way that when we're going out, we're pushing against the wind, and when we're coming back, the wind is at our backs. But depending on your starting location and what the roads are around there, sometimes that's just not possible. But that is an important point, is to think about the fact that if it is an out and back, you're going to have to come back. And so if you start feeling tired or a little bit fatigued, you might want to turn around early. And it's important to tell the ride leader that, I'm feeling tired and I'm just going to turn around here.
And that's okay.
And that is okay. That's perfectly fine. And a lot of times somebody else is feeling the same way as you, and they'll say, well, I want to go with you. So.
Yeah. And I know for me, especially on windy days, sometimes I forget to take that into consideration. Mm-hmm. And I feel so strong that I can go 5 extra miles. I feel so good. And then I turn around and go, uh-oh.
Yep. And the other interesting thing about wind is your size matters. I'm a pretty small person. I weigh about 108 pounds. And so for me, going into the wind is a lot harder than somebody who weighs 180 or 190 pounds. And so the best thing for me to do might be to just tuck in behind one of those big people and let them block the wind for me. And that's one of the reasons we ride in lines, is because it helps protect you from the wind. In those situations.
And it also makes riding a little bit easier. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, it's called drafting when you're riding behind somebody, and it's about 40% easier when you're behind than when you're in the front. So the person in the front is taking the wind head on, And then the person behind is sort of ducking in, and that just makes it a little easier. And that's why people rotate and take turns, because when they're behind, they rest, and when they're in the front, they're working harder.
Yeah. So if I start feeling tired or I just want to, I'll tuck in behind my husband on the trail, and it's a lot easier. So that's just a little trick when you have even just one other person to ride with.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've done a ride out in Iowa before that was really windy with just my husband and I, and we would just alternate being in the front. Now, because I'm so small, I don't provide a particularly good draft for whoever I'm with, but a little bit is better than nothing.
So find a larger person to tuck in behind.
Yes. If you have a choice between tucking in between a small person and a large person, pick the large person.
All right. Well, it's time for another break. We'll be back with you in a few large moments. Welcome back to Bike Talk on Lexington Community Radio. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Wanda Bertram. I'm here with Pam Thomas, who's the president for the Bluegrass Cycling Club. And the club does a lot. They offer tons of rides throughout the spring, summer, and fall. But they also have some special programs like the Bluegrass Bike Partners, right?
Yeah, the Bluegrass Bike Partners is modeled after a program that the League of American Bicyclists does on a national level. And essentially, it's finding businesses that are cycling friendly, and they have a Bluegrass Bike Partners sticker that'll be on their door, or in some instances, it's a farm, and they'll have like a sign in their yard with the logo on it. And if you're out cycling and you need to use a restroom or you need some water or something else, if you see that sign, then you know that that business is cycling friendly, or that farm is cycling friendly, and you can feel comfortable going in the door or approaching the business and asking for what you need.
And a list of those businesses, organizations are on the website.
bgcycling.net.
bgcycling.net. So if you're going for a ride out in the countryside, or you're riding through town in Lexington, there are businesses in town, out of town. You can go there, and once you know your route, find your route, and you have a place to stop if you need a place to stop.
Exactly.
Duck in from the rain, even if you
Yep.
have to do that. So yeah, stay safe. So Bluegrass Bike Partners, look for the stickers on the windows and on the doors. And the biking club, Bluegrass Cycling Club, has some big events as well.
Well, one big one and one small one.
One big one. Okay.
And one small one.
Let's talk about the big one.
The big one is the Horsey 100, and it is always Memorial Weekend. I don't even really know. I don't remember how many years. It's been a long time. It's hosted out of Georgetown College in Georgetown. We have people from, I think right now, our registration, we've got people from 30 different states registered, also some folks from New Zealand. We have a huge group that comes every year from Canada.
Yes. Fun group.
A fun group from Canada. Cyclists can stay in the dorm rooms there on campus for a very affordable rate, and the dorms are already sold out for this year. And the event runs on really Saturday and Sunday, but it's almost morphed into Friday as well. We do more club rides. We do club rides all day on Friday, and we invite our guests to join us from all over town. And then there's a big expo Friday evening. We have live music, we have food trucks. And then on Saturday is the 100-mile route, and then there are 5 other distances as well. We have lunch afterwards. And on Sunday, I think the long route is 75 miles. And registration is open now on our website. And we usually end up with between 2,000 and 2,400 cyclists. We partner with local law enforcement to help make sure cyclists are safe. And it's a committee that meets year-round, a committee of about 30 people that meets year-round to plan and organize.
It's a full-time job for a lot of people, and it is very, very well organized.
Yeah. I directed the event for a couple years, a few years ago, and it really takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. And we do it with volunteers, so people do devote a lot of time and energy to make sure that it's fun. And every year we try to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, and it shows. It's a great event, and that people would come from all over the country speaks very well for the event. And it's a fundraiser for the club.
Yeah, it's our primary source of revenue. We do have membership dues, but really most of the things that we do throughout the year are funded through the Horsey 100. It is it's where we make our money.
Yeah. And there are rides just like the regular rides. There are distances for everyone.
Yes. I think the shortest distance both days is right around 25 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like I said, we have the Century Ride on Saturday, which is why it's called the Horsey 100. Century means 100 miles. And then on Sunday, the long ride is 75 miles. The routes go in two different directions, and this year we're reversing that.
Oh, really?
So the way it's been for the past few years, we head over toward Frankfurt on Saturday, and then on Sunday over toward Paris. But this year we're going to do Paris on Saturday and Frankfurt on Sunday.
Switching it up
Yeah,
on them.
yeah.
Wow. And the routes are all marked.
The roads are marked. We have maps that you can download. If you have a cycling computer, you can download the map. And we will also have maps and cue sheets.
That people can pick up and stick in their back pocket or clip on their bike.
Clip on their bike. Mm-hmm.
And then there are rest stops.
Yes, there are fully stocked and staffed rest stops every 15 to 18 miles is what we try to do. Sometimes they're a little shorter, sometimes they're a little longer. But plenty of, what I like to say is that we have a dietitian and food service folks as members of our club, and they're in charge of that stuff. And we will have food that will fuel your ride. We won't have everything that everybody needs, but we will have plenty of food, and it will provide you with sufficient fuel to finish. Having said that, with a lot of people, if you have special sort of conditions that require you to eat certain food, you should either check with us in advance or to see what we're going to have, or, just plan on bringing your own stuff. But I think that most people who have dietary restrictions are good at planning for
themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last stop on Saturday, because that's the long ride, you have the 100-mile route, and the last stop, are you doing the ice cream again this year?
I think we are. The last few years, we have done root beer floats, orange floats, Ale 8 floats, and Ale 8 now has 3 flavors. They have orange, cherry, and their regular flavors.
Speaking of mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah. So you could get ice cream or you can get the floats, and I'm pretty sure that that's going to happen again this year. It's kind of become a tradition.
Because everyone looks forward to those floats.
Yeah.
Kind of a special, nutritionist non-approved, but everyone has earned it at that point.
That's right. Then. And all the stops go through, or all the routes go through the last stop, so everybody would get that chance.
Everyone gets their root beer float.
Yep.
Oh, well, good. And if someone wants to know more about the Horsey 100,
Horsey100.com.
Horsey100.com, yes. Or they can also go to the Bluegrass Cycling Club website.
And there is a plethora of information on the Horsey 100 website if you're looking for somewhere to stay, if you want to know more about the routes or the distances, know about our vendors that are going to be at the Vendor Expo. All that information is on the website.
Great. And the Horsey 100 is part of another large event, a series of events, actually.
Yes. It's called the Kentucky Cycling Challenge, and this is the 7th year of the Kentucky Cycling Challenge, and there are 4 rides this year. We've had 5 rides some years. But it starts out with the Redbud Ride, which is April 13th, I believe, and then the Horsey 100 is the 2nd event. And then the Bluegrass and Bourbon Tour in Owensboro in August is the 3rd event. And then the Limestone Cycling Tour in Maysville is the 4th event. People can sign up for free on the kycyclingchallenge.com website. And the way the way that it works is you sign up, then you register and pay for the rides. And if you ride enough miles, you will earn yourself a free jersey, or in some instances, a free jersey and a pair of shorts or bibs as well. The way that all happens is we have sponsors that help support the rides, because all of the rides are fundraisers for the organizations that put them on. And our presenting sponsor for the 3rd year in a row, I think, might be 2nd or 3rd, is Ale 8. If you sign up for the challenge, you will be able to have Ale 8 at all the events. And then Capital Bicycles, which is a handmade bicycle company located in London, Kentucky, is also a sponsor. And then we have several other sponsors as well in the local areas. A lot of the tourist and convention commissions in the community support us. We typically have had over 500 people sign up. And
that's a crowd.
Yeah, and a lot of the people are not from Kentucky. They're from Indiana and Ohio and West Virginia.
So this is a big boost to tourism.
Yeah. And what we've noticed is that it's not so much a benefit for the Horsey 100 because it's already a really big ride, but what it really does help is the smaller rides in the other communities. And cyclists really love going to those small towns, and there's a lot of hospitality there. People are happy to see them.
Yeah.
And it's really, really helped those small rides, to get bigger and to get on the map and have cyclists go there. And a lot of cyclists end up going back.
So that people earn a free jersey if they complete. What do they have to complete to earn a jersey?
I'm trying to think. We have a metric century challenge this year. A metric century is right around 62 miles. And so if you ride 62 miles in all 4 rides, you earn a jersey and a pair of bibs or shorts. Or if you do the centuries in all 4 of them, the 100 miles, you earn bibs and shorts. And that one says 400 miles. And then there's the ability to earn a jersey for, I believe it's 185 miles. So you can do it in any combination. You could start out early in the year not being quite as fit, where you do maybe 25 or 30 miles, and then the next ride you might do a little bit more.
That makes sense.
And so then by the end of the 4th ride, you're riding more and you get to your miles however you want.
So it's a big accomplishment.
Yes, and then
we
do
a lot of fun.
And then we do a party at the end of the year where we distribute the jerseys and thank our sponsors, and everybody comes together. And we've had 200 people come to the party the last couple years. So.
Oh, cool. So if someone does not get on board this year, there's a chance that they'll do it again next year. So check every year.
Check every year. And the registration is currently open. And like I said, it's free to register for the challenge. That closes on April 6th. So there's a few weeks left to sign up if you think it's something you might want to do.
And is it a limited registration?
Well, it isn't a limited registration, but only the first 600 are guaranteed to earn free stuff. The only way you can get any of this is by earning it. And so what happens over 600 if we hit it is that you'll have to pay our cost to get the items, but you can get them.
But you can still get it.
Yes.
You can still get in. So check out the Kentucky Cycling Challenge. All right, it's time for another break. We'll be back with you in a few moments. Welcome back to Bike Talk on Lexington Community Radio. I'm your host, Wanda Bertram. With me today is Pam Thomas. She's the president of the Bluegrass Cycling Club. And we've been talking about all of the cool things that the club does. The weekly rides, up to a dozen rides every week for all types of riders. Definitely check that out over the course of the spring, summer, and fall. But they also have some special events too. And one that is later in the fall is the Red River Rally.
The Red River Rally is the oldest continuous bicycling event in Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And it's in the Red River Gorge, which is only about an hour from Lexington, but you kind of feel like you're in a different world. It's the first weekend in October, and it's Saturday and Sunday. Saturday route typically takes you up through the Nada Tunnel and you climb Sky Bridge. It's pretty hilly.
It's beautiful.
And it's beautiful, yes. And it includes lunch. And then Sunday there are a couple of options. There's a Furnace Mountain option, which is hilly because it's Furnace Mountain. And then there's a flatter kind of version. Some people come and just do Saturday. Some people do the whole weekend. And over the last few years, there's been a large group of people that just rent cabins down there all weekend and then just make a weekend of it. It's usually the same weekend as Rocktoberfest, which is a big climbing festival down there. So
it's a big weekend.
It's pretty festive that weekend down in the gorge and definitely worth the trip.
Yeah. And for people who want to prepare for that a little bit, because it is very hilly. Climbing up Sky Bridge can be challenging, but lots of fun rollers too.
Yeah. They're up on the ridge tops. There are some fun rollers. And we have had the last few years some ride leaders that do rides during the week down in the gorge.
Yes.
So that's one of the things that you could do if you're interested in it is you could, arrange to go down and do a couple of the club rides that are down there. They don't necessarily do the same route that we do for the Red River Rally, but there are a lot of places that you can ride down there.
And I did those a lot last year. And they do the route the opposite way.
Right.
They call it the easy way.
Yeah. You go down instead of up Sky Bridge. Yeah.
But you still have some challenging climbs.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. So if you want to get a feel for the Red River Rally, just check out the club calendar again and look for the Gorge Ride.
And the registration for that typically opens a month or a month and a half before the event. So it'll be a while before the registration opens, but do look for the club rides down there if you're interested.
Yeah. So the ride is the first weekend in October.
Mm-hmm.
It's on a Saturday. And then there is a lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Often food is provided, and then another ride on Sunday morning.
And there are rest stops too, just like the Horsey 100. So if you do the ride, there will be rest stops where you can refuel and fill your water bottles and get some sustenance.
Yeah. And one thing too that I really love about the Bluegrass Cycling Club is its sense of philanthropy, of giving back to the community. And it has several ways of doing that.
We have a philanthropy committee. And the philanthropy committee has several very committed members, and they take applications a couple times a year for entities that are seeking funding for cycling-related projects. And they also do what we call proactive funding, where they might notice something or, somebody that is trying to do something for cycling, and they'll proactively give the money. The other one is a program that we've been running for several years now in conjunction with West 6. We're equal partners, and the Bluegrass Cycling Club provides half of the funding for it, and West 6 provides the other half, and we host them out at West 6. Then it's called Pedaling for a Purpose. And so it's really cool because it combines three things. We start with an education session, mm-hmm. and that's usually about 45 minutes. We have all different kinds of speakers that come in. We've had a nutritionist, we've had a physical therapist, we've had a person that has come in and talked about aging, and this year we have 3 cycling-related charities. So following the education session, we do rides, and every mile ridden by somebody participating earns 20 cents for the charity of the day, and we rotate our charities. This year we have Broke Spoke, which is a community bike shop here in Lexington. We have the Hope Center, because a lot of the clients of the Hope Center use bikes to get around. And then we have an organization called AmBucks, which was actually discovered by our philanthropy committee, but it's an organization that makes adaptive bikes for children that can't ride regular bikes, and they're fairly expensive. And so AmBucks came and did one of our education sessions last year. And
it was so fabulous.
And a couple of children were presented with their bikes for the first time, and just seeing the joy on the faces of these kids that, generally speaking, a lot of them have ambulatory issues. And so having a bike gives them this sense of freedom that's remarkable. And some of them, they have handles where the parents can push it because the children literally just aren't able to do it. But even still, it gives you that
riding
sense
a bike.
Right. And so this year we're going to have 11 sessions throughout the summer. They're all on our calendar.
And they're generally about every other week.
Generally about every other week. We work around a lot of other schedules. So, and 2 of them, West 6 owns a farm out in Franklin County on Shadrick Ferry Road. And 2 of our sessions are actually going to be out from the farm this year. The first one is on a Sunday afternoon, and then the second one is September 21st, which is going to be our last one. And we're doing a bike festival at the farm.
Oh, that'll be great.
Along with the Kentucky Mountain Biking Association, because there are mountain biking trails out there too. So we're still in the planning phases for it, but it's going to be, we're going to hope to have live music, food trucks. There'll be mountain biking stuff. There'll be road biking stuff. We'll do an education session. So stay tuned for that. I think it's going to be a really fun event.
Yeah, and the education sessions are so interesting. You really learn a lot at those about how to be a better cyclist, how to be a safer cyclist, or about other organizations and philanthropies that are in the community and how you can get involved.
And I forgot to mention the third part of Pedaling for a Purpose is that when you attend, and you don't have to be a member to attend these things either. You get 1 point for each education session you attend and 1 point for each ride you attend. And if you amass enough points, you can earn a Pedaling for a Purpose jersey or T-shirt.
Another free jersey.
Another free jersey, yeah. We give you lots of opportunities to earn free jerseys. All you got to do is show up and turn your pedals.
That's right. So you can get a Kentucky Challenge jersey.
You can get a Pedaling for a Purpose jersey. And there is a tab on our website, which is bgcycling.net. There's a Pedaling for a Purpose tab. And if you click on that, you can see what the jersey looks like for this year. And then you can also see what all the dates are.
Yeah. And the Pedaling for a Purpose sessions are also listed on the calendar
mm-hmm.
and on the page too, I think. So yeah, check it out and come and join us. And the fun of it is that there's a ride afterwards. And if you are new, it's a great opportunity to get out and ride on the trail.
Right. We always have a trail only ride for Pedaling for a Purpose, other than the 2 that will be out at West 6 Farm. the 9 that will be starting from West 6. And now the Legacy Trail starts right next to West 6. So you literally don't have to be on the roads at all. We always have a trail ride for novices, beginners, and C-Pace riders. And you can turn around whenever you want on that ride.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then come back to West 6 and a lot of people stay and hang out.
Yeah. It's really fun.
We get back in time for lunch.
Right. And you can eat great food there. You can hang out with your friends there. You can have other friends meet you there. It's also, if you have people who are your friends that don't ride a bike, this is a good way to introduce them, is just meet there at West 6, do Pedaling for a Purpose, ride together on the trail, starting out, and then come back and hang out.
Yeah, and you have the social opportunity to meet more people.
Right. And the other thing is, too, on Pedaling for a Purpose, you don't have to do our group rides. So if you are interested in earning money for Broke Spoke or earning money for Ambucks or the Hope Center, come out, bring your bike, do your own thing, write down your miles. Your miles still count for the charity.
So you don't have to ride with the group.
No.
If you don't want to ride with the group.
No, it's an option for you, but you don't have to do that.
Wonderful. So again, go to bgcycling.net and you can find more about Pedaling for a Purpose. And the grants you had mentioned that the Philanthropy Committee is looking for cycling-related nonprofits, or does it have to be a nonprofit?
Yep.
It has to be a nonprofit, or it has to be related somehow to a nonprofit?
To a nonprofit sort of entity. So we support the community radio and the Bike Talk show.
And we thank you very much.
We have for several years supported Kentucky Refugee Ministries by providing bicycles for refugees to use. A lot of the folks who settle here use bikes for transportation and to get to work. And so we will get them a new bike, a safety vest, and a light and a lock. And the members of our philanthropy committee deliver the bikes and make sure that they know how to use them and all of that. And then we support Bike Lexington. Gosh, I'm trying to think. We've supported some programs in local schools. So just a variety of different things.
Yeah. So if your nonprofit has a bicycling related need, or you want to provide a bicycling related service, the philanthropy committee would love to hear from you.
And there is information on our website about that too.
Oh, good. So Pam, we're about out of time. So if someone, again, wants to get involved in cycling through weekly rides, through philanthropy, through some of the events that they talked about, how do they do that?
The best thing to do is go to the website. It's all the information is there, bgcycling.net. There are contact numbers there for ride leaders and for people who are on the board or other folks that you might want to contact and ask questions to. And that would be what I would recommend.
Wonderful. And the club also has a Facebook page.
Yeah, we do have a Facebook page. So you can just look up Bluegrass Cycling Club on Facebook and you'll see some information there. A lot of times there, for the weekly rides leaders will post routes or who the other ride leaders are, or updates and information about things that are going on. So that's a good place to check for more immediate information.
Yeah, good advice. All right. Well, Pam, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. And don't forget to tune in to Bike Talk at the same time next week for all things cycling, helping you get out, explore our towns and countryside in Lexington and beyond. Thanks for joining us. Be safe and enjoy the ride. Bluegrass Cycling Club is proud to support Bike Talk as an underwriter for Lexington Community Radio. For more information, you may visit bgcycling.net.